So here I am putting the throw bars in place on the turnouts. I glued and fastened down the turnouts in position with the feeders before I laid all the flex track. I didn't take video of me doing any of the flex track because it's pretty straightforward. You can kind of get an idea a little later on how I did it when I add the little connecting pieces to the end of the module. So I got the blue points all adjusted, everything working good. Glued the track all down. But the turnout is still free floating. It'll just be held in by the rail joiners right here, rail joiners, and then this will be glued down here. But everything came out pretty good. I missed my alignment on the roadbed to the track for this easement, but that's alright. Ballast hides a multitude of sins. So here's an overall shot of the track that I laid. And here's the module join with the bridge tracks going across. And some of the weights while stuff's drying. And that's me measuring and cutting the ties out on the end piece. There it is, dry fitting it in position. And there's the fresh cuts that I used to move the ties a little closer, a little further away from the PC ties. Just make sure you deburr everything. You do not want anything snagging up on you when you're trying to clean the rails or clean it after you painted it, that sort of thing. So I use micro-engineering rail joiners. I made myself a little tool, which just is a piece of rail that I beveled the base part, and use that. There's a close-up of it, deburred it really good, bent it a little right angle on it so it's got a handle, and then I just shove the micro-engineering rail joiner on there as far as I can, just to spread it out a little bit, make it easier to go on once I've got everything in position. And then I use either a screwdriver or tweezers or whatever to slide it back out, turn the thing around, put it back on my little tool here, and then put it on the track that I'm going to join so they slide in together easier. Just makes it a lot better to put the things together. You don't have to fight it so much and try sliding it while you're holding everything there. And remember, the microengineering, we're using them for mechanical alignment, not transferring electrical conductivity. So it really doesn't matter if they're just a little bit looser than what they come out of the box with. And there they are, all installed. Shooting video with the other camera because my battery went dead. So I've got my piece of flex cleaned up, deburred the ends of the cut, trimmed it so that it will fit, and I tried to gauge it so that my PC ties and the ties that are cast in will line up with each other. So I trimmed that a little shorter, and I'll leave these ties on out here just to help hold it engaged while I solder the piece down. And the next thing is I've slid the rail joiners all the way on there to the track that's glued down, or the turnout, and I will use my tweezers to slide that in once I get it in position. But I'm going to lay a little bit of the adhesive caulk here, and then I'll put this in position, slide my rail joiners in, and then weight this and let that dry I've got my poly seam seal, Loctite, crystal clear. That's what I'm using. It's a real nice product. I just squirt out a dab. Then I use these little palette knives to spread it. Work it all the way up to where the PC ties are. And you don't, I put too much on, but you don't need very much, really. And just get it fairly smooth. I just don't want it so much that it pushes up between the ties. When I stick it down, or if I have to slide it a little bit, or if it wiggles, I just want to dab on there. So I put the fixed rail in first. I'll show you what I did wrong here, but it'll work. Or the loose end on the track, and I should have turned them around and put the tight end on first, and then slipped my other one in. But it's okay. Just make sure you deburr everything really good, and that'll make your job much easier. We take our square and position the rail so it's centered and as square as I can get it. Okay, now I take one of my blocks and I'm just going to weight that down. Don't disturb it, and let the glue dry. And once the glue's dry, then I'll solder this and do all that stuff. So here we are, we're at the part where glue's dry. I've soldered the PC board ties, filed the ends, be gentle, file downward only. Don't file the actual board. You don't want to sand it or file a big swale in there so that when you butt it up to another module, you want it as flush as you possibly can get with just a slight amount of a gap so that you don't have the rail on one module actually touching the rail on the other module. So you can hear the prof and model rail radio going in the background. I've got my little extension hooked on here. It's just hooked on with a couple of spring clamps, and it's just a simple board with a little mini end plate and some track on it. I can test my modules. So you'll see my hand laid turnout here. Right here is the frog. And that is nice. That is just so nice. But there's the gap at the end of the module. But the car goes across there. Just dandy. Alright, so here we are. I've gotten all my feeders soldered on. On these guys right here, because there's a joiner, I soldered those joiners. I've put feeders at this end and feeders at this end, and then I'm going to get my Dremel with the thin cut blade and put a couple little expansion joints in here. So now all that's left is to cut the gaps in those ties at the ends, and I'm going to do that with a razor saw. Alright, so gaps are cut here. I've still got to wire up or fix up some sort of control rod mechanism for the blue point down here and wire that so it controls the frog. We've got to make and mount some leg pockets to go on the bottom of this. Get that all installed, and then wire the buses, accessory bus and the track bus and the local net panels. So that'll be next time.